Welcome. It's great to have you here today. And you just had your book launched today.
I did.
And
I had it
yeah,
published.
mm,
Yes.
well, it's congratulations on that front.
Thank you.
All right. So before now you're the expert. You're helping people with anxiety, and in fact, your book is really centered around overcoming anxiety and overcoming the fear of rebuilding your life. What is your personal story?
Sure. So I'm on rebuild number 4. This is the fourth time, at least, that I've rebuilt a life.
Mm,
Um, through either because of my own choices or because of things that have happened in my life,
mm,
I've had to make the best out of something that's happened. And I believe that should people take a situation and look at it and realize what they need to learn from it, um, and how they need to grow from it and move forward, that's how they become successful in rebuilding their life.
mm. So taking life's experience, learning from it, and rebuilding from that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the heart of it, with all of us, there's some spiritual sickness. There's
Mm-hmm.
a reason that things fail. There's a
Mm,
reason that things don't just happen to us.
mm,
We're not victims.
mm,
As much as society would help us be in that victim mentality, very rarely are people victims. Now, sometimes they are, but for the most part, we have a part in the things that happen in our lives. And
mm,
taking a look at what part you play or anybody else plays
mm,
in their destruction, so to speak,
mm,
that will help them to, fixing that will help them to not replay those disasters in the future.
mm. So you studied nursing and later in Casper University, Casper College,
Casper College,
and
yes.
before that you studied psych. Is it psyche or psych? Psyche,
Yeah, psychology. So actually, I
psychology.
was a nurse first, and through my own choices, I became addicted to prescription painkillers.
Mm,
And so I had to go to substance abuse treatment.
mm,
I ended up in jail, actually. I should have gone to prison. Um, but by the grace of God, I was given a chance to go to treatment,
mm,
substance abuse treatment, and complete probation. And so this is one of my rebuilds that I speak about in my book.
mm,
Um, I learned that I had to give up nursing so I could focus on my recovery, or I was
mm,
going to die.
mm,
I was addicted to opiates, actually.
mm.
And
Wow.
so in 2011, I surrendered my nursing license and I started working on becoming a counselor.
Mm,
And that took me a period of about 6 years. So I became a counselor.
mm,
And then in 2018 or so, I started getting the nudge that I needed to get my nursing license back. And
mm,
so I worked with the nursing board in the state of Wyoming, which is where I lived, to
mm,
get my nursing license reinstated.
mm. So how did we get there? How did we get to addiction?
You know, I can pinpoint I can pinpoint when my addiction started. Really and truly, in 2003, I was alone in a Las Vegas hotel room, and it was Thanksgiving Day. I had just been through my first divorce. I was 22 years old, and just really uncomfortable in my own skin. And I had the painkillers from a surgery I'd recently had, and I took those and it made the pain feel so much better. I felt like I found my new best friend. And
Mm,
so it was a lot of self-medicating depression and anxiety with those painkillers and alcohol.
mm,
And those things made me feel better. And so I kept doing them.
mm, mm. And so you were 22, a few things happened and life happened, right?
Mhm.
As life
Mhm.
happens to us all,
Sure.
and some more severe than others. Yours probably severe, and the way you were able to escape was through uh, these um, these substances. In those years, like what was really going on? What was really happening with you emotionally, feelings? Like what was going on with you in those years?
Yeah. Um, a lot of it was I wasn't dealing with life as it was thrown at me. I didn't have I wasn't equipped with the skills and tools to manage life as it was coming at me. Those stresses, those anxieties of things just happening to real people, in real
Mm,
life. You know, I didn't realize that you can't spend money you don't have. And of course, in America, we have credit. And so money was a problem, and I would spend a lot of money, and it it was always about trying to fill this hole in my heart that I had no idea why I just felt so incomplete.
mm,
And I felt incomplete because I didn't have that heart, that hole filled with the spirituality that I needed.
mm, mm.
I
Oh
was
wow.
I was incomplete.
Mm,
And so I'd fill it with relationships and shopping and drugs and alcohol, and I mean, you name it,
mm.
and nothing could fill that big void that I had.
So your message to anyone feeling incomplete right now will be embrace spirituality.
Absolutely.
But
You
what
know,
does
those
that mean? Like, what would that mean? Now they hear your
sure.
message and go, okay, I want to embrace it. uh,
Well, the first thing when we start talking about spirituality, unfortunately, people often equate that with religion.
hmm,
And they're not the same thing.
mm-hmm,
And you say spirituality, and a lot of people glaze over and they think, oh, here we go, we're going to talk about church again, and it's not that. you know
mm,
they hate that, but it's like, okay, listen, and this is a lot of what my book is about.
mm,
There are spiritual principles that make the world go round, that are
mm,
all that's good in the world.
mm,
Those things like love and peace and
mm,
joy and contentment and serenity and forgiveness and mercy and
mm,
grace.
mm,
Those good things, those are what we need to live for and strive for.
mm,
That's the spirituality. That's the spiritual growth. No matter what you believe in as a higher power,
mm,
that's what we strive for.
mm,
And so, universally, that's, if you can build those things in your life, you're going to end up having a better life. Period. End of
mm,
story.
mm,
Whether you believe in Allah or Buddha or Jesus Christ, no matter what it is that you believe in, you build those things in your life, and you're going to have a better life.
mm. So walk me through the things again. The foundational things that when you are able to embrace those things, you would be rooted spiritually. What are some of those things again?
Like joy and peace, forgiveness,
Mm,
mercy, grace,
mm,
integrity. That's a big
mm,
one. Humility. Um, yeah. Tolerance, acceptance, responsibility, effort, respect.
mm, mm,
Everything that is good about the world, that helps people relate and live with other people.
mm, mm. Now, you just what made you want to write a book? You know.
What made me write a book? So I was, earlier this year, I was going through a period in my life where in my head there was just so many things going on, and little by little, the life that I was living, I from a worldly view, I was very successful. You know, I was a program manager in a residential substance abuse treatment center. The same treatment center that I went to get better for my
To get
addiction.
better for you, yes.
Yes, I had worked there for almost 8 years, and that job was ending, and my marriage ended, and I actually had a mental breakdown, and I was diagnosed bipolar, and there's just all these crazy things going on in February and March, to where I needed to really figure out what I needed to do with my life, and that was when I started to grow exponentially spiritually and get closer to God. And little by little, he started showing me that the rebuilds in my life, I need to be sharing those with people. I need to be sharing that experience with people, because that is what's going to help people, you know, keep their chin up and move forward throughout all the drudgery and the challenges of their life, and the bad things that happen to them. And so it's a lot about bringing experience, strength, and hope to those people who may not have hope in their lives right now. And my grandmother actually was the main force behind this. She told me I needed to write the book, and she actually gave me the title of the book.
Oh, she gave you the title. So I don't want to paraphrase the title. What's the title again?
The title is The Art of Stepping in. It alludes to the art of stepping in shit and smelling like a rose. But there's 2 roses that replace the S and the H, so that I can have a mainstream publishing and everything else. The art of stepping in it and smelling like a rose, because that's what she's told me I've always done in my life. Through these failures and these rebuilds that I've had to do, these things that just look stinky, and I step in them, and I come out of it on the other side looking and smelling a lot better.
Looking and smelling a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, you know, we, in one way, shape, or form, we all have to, you know, rebuild our lives or rebuild ourselves, you know, or even shift, sometimes not necessarily from being beaten down, sometimes even a shift of identity and a shift of image to step to the next thing. Somebody trying to rebuild their life, you know, whether it was crumbled or not. What is that thing? What are the fundamentals? I know spirituality is one of them. What are the other fundamentals, the other foundations?
So, I mean, it comes with a lot of self-awareness that you have to admit that something's wrong. Something's going wrong in your life. That's the biggest thing. That's the first step, you know? So a lot of people will say, well, my life is fine. Oh, really? Well, why did you get a DUI? If your life is fine, you know, what's causing you to make these choices that are wrong? Or, you know, why are you cheating on your wife? Or why are you gambling? You know, because we all have reasons we do things. They may not make sense to anybody else, but it's usually to make up for something in our psyche that we don't really realize. And so it's about looking at your life and figuring out, what do I need to rebuild? So what is wrong here? Like, what parts of my life are wrong, whether it's relationships or job. So it's there comes some self-awareness, and there also needs to be some mentorship with that, because we need some outside perspective.
Outside perspective.
Right? You know, there are a lot of things in our lives that we can't see in and of ourselves. So we do need someone to kind of guide us along with that. And so I'm a coach as well as a nurse and a counselor. And one of the things that I want and I love to do with people is to walk them through that process. You know, point out things in their life that they maybe can't see because they're too close to it.
So, I mean, there's a lot of advice on mentorship, coaching gets somebody. So what you're saying is it's not out of inadequacy. Like, it's not because you are not enough. That's not the point. but the point is you're too close to the situation. So having an experienced eye, who can really relate to the situation from a place of
Yeah.
skillfulness, a place of resourcefulness, and a place of help, it's important. So it's not getting a coach doesn't mean you are not enough. It doesn't mean you're inadequate, but in any way,
No.
shape, or form.
And in fact, a good coach helps people bring out the solutions that are already within themselves.
Hmm.
And so it's not even close to you're not good enough. You have this stuff within you. A good coach just helps you to bring it out. And so what I tell my coaches that work with me is that, look, when you're working with clients, you're basically asking them questions. That's what you're doing. Like, you're asking them questions so they can come to their own conclusions and build their solutions. It's about bringing things out of people. They just don't have they have the pieces of the puzzle. They just don't have them in the right places yet.
Yes. In fact, for me, we developed a program that is meant to be a coaching program. For me, I come from a consulting world where, you tell me the problem and this is the solution, right?
Sure.
Not realize that a lot of time the solution is already there with them. Like they just need the guidance and support to help them bring
Absolutely.
that and confirmation to do that. So who are some of the people that you work with or that come to you?
A lot of them, they don't have huge issues in their life. They have some bits and pieces of their lives that are kind of unraveling. They maybe have a relationship that's failing, or they have a series of relationships that are failing and they don't really know why. And so where I come in is I help to point out the pattern of behaviors in them throughout their life. Like, look, your pattern of resentment and bitterness, that's what's causing all these issues with you. The problem is within you. You're the common denominator, and not a lot of people like to hear that, right? So you asked about what else comes along with it. Self-awareness. It has to be some openness, and you got to get real and honest with yourself.
Yes, and acceptance, right?
Yeah, because
accepting that.
Exactly, to be upfront with somebody, like, the problem in your life is you. You have stuff wrong with you. It's not because your boss is a jerk. It's not because your wife is mean. It's not because your kids are out of control. It's you.
It's you.
Like, you respond to your life. And we need to figure out what spiritual sicknesses you have in yourself.
Yes. In fact, we develop an investment fund, and so we have a lot of entrepreneurs who come to us, for that. So one who is a very close friend of mine, will be friends for years. He's like, look, come be a part of come on my board of directors, be the chairman or something, right? I just want you in that. Like, I want you there. And I said, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. The first thing I'm gonna do? You say, what? I'm gonna fire you.
Honesty, I love it.
Because you are the problem here. Like, you're the common problem here. If we took somebody out there and hire somebody and give them strict instruction on what to do, they're gonna execute this properly. But you're emotionally tied to this thing, like, I'm gonna fire you.
I'm sure he didn't like to hear that.
He didn't like that. You're like, oh, okay.
I don't want to hire you anymore now.
Yeah, so you are the common denominator in your life, and you are the solution, you are the problem, you are it.
Absolutely.
And
also the things that people consider wrong with themselves, or character defects or flaws, it's pretty easy actually to flip those upside down into opposites. And those are the spiritual principles you need to live in. So a lot of people don't realize that some of the things that they don't like about themselves, they're actually overextended principles that they need to use in their lives. That's what a counselor once told me, is that you don't have defects, you have overextended assets. And so it took me a long time to realize what he meant by that. You think about those people who are manipulative and sneaky and deceitful. You flip that upside down and there's some real creativity in there.
Yes.
There's some good stuff in there, and I used to work with a lot of recovering addicts and alcoholics early in recovery, and I would help them build their resumes. And they would tell me, well, I've never had a job. I don't have any good working skills. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now, just because you ran the streets and you sold drugs doesn't mean you don't have skills that aren't marketable. You you have science skills, obviously, if you were cooking meth. Or if obviously you have you know how to set boundaries if you were there to collect all the money from people, or you knew how to weigh things out and everything else, so you're very precise about things and you're tedious. So there are ways to take a look at what you were doing. Now your strengths just weren't being used in the right way.
Yes.
And it takes an outside perspective to take a look at a broken person and look at that. And that's what people need.
It reminds me of I went back to Africa a couple of years ago, and I met this a cousin of mine. Everybody just complains. He lies a lot. He deceives people. He does all of these things. So, and I listened to the guy and I watched his move, and I said, this guy is gifted. He's just selling the wrong things, and he's selling from the wrong place. If we change the substance of that, and if we change where it's coming from, it's powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would tell people that I worked with in those treatment centers, I'm like, you guys are geniuses. The way that you come up with trying to get away with stuff, I wish I could that ingenuity and turn it into something good, because oh my gosh, the creativity that you guys come up with to manipulate the system, like if you could use that for good, you could have cured cancer by now.
Wow. Wow. Love what you did.
And that puts them in a different perspective. Like, okay, well, I do have good stuff about me. I'm just, you're just using it in the wrong way.
The wrong way. Yes.
You're just not using it to help yourself or anybody else, obviously. You can't sell crack and make a benefit and a good imprint on the world. So let's figure out ways where you can use those skills.
The skills.
Yeah.
The skills.
Yeah.
Yes. And so is your book available now, to the public, or is still
I just found out today they're going to publish it. So not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
It's going to be published by Christian Faith Publishing. It will be very soon.
Yes.
They promote it and everything. So
yes. So why waiting your book? You have amazing stuff. They need to connect with you anyway. And so for those who really connect with your message, what's the emotion that the people who come to you are usually feeling, typically?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed
is a big one. Obviously anxious, but overwhelmed and scared. They've got a lot thrown at them and they don't quite know how to deal with it. And one of the first things I do with them is help them to list out the things that are stressing them out. You write it down on a list, and it seems so simple, and it is, and it's just like, get it out of your head and write it on a list and see what you're actually dealing with, because we have a tendency to make the things in our heads a lot bigger than what they actually are. Because we sit with them and we run them over and over and over. And instead of sitting in those problems, I help them to look at the solutions. And that's where a turning point is with them.
So for those who connect with your message and they want to rebuild their lives, they want to recover, they want to have redemption, they're saying, I feel this overwhelm, I feel this stuff, probably even addicted, or probably not addicted, probably just gone through, like you, the divorce or a loss or a massive shock of something, and they want to rebuild, they want to find themselves again. What is the best way for them to connect with you and work with you?
Through Facebook probably is a really good way. My partner in business, Zach, and I have a group called Overcoming Anxiety. But I'm also readily available there. And I have a website as well, and they
Mm-hmm.
can connect with me there. And that'll get me an email. They can connect with me through an email there.
Through an email as well. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great to have you. It was a bit, it took a while to get you on here, so it's great to have you.
No,
And
it's perfect. It's perfect. Thank you for being patient. I appreciate it.
yes. And wish you many great things in with the book
Thank you.
and with your impact. Yes.
You as well. You
Yeah.
as well. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome.